Good afternoon, everyone. So, this was a pending article, right? The casualty. So, what is casualty? Okay, an injured person is casualty. Okay. So, how do you take decisions in your life? Post incident. Incident happens after you take a decision, right? Very good. Based on the consequences. Let's say after graduation, you saw the movie Jackie Chan. Who am I? So you got a doubt. Who am I? No. Then you could have joined. You could have taken two decisions. Decision A, decision B. Decision B is joining or going for UPSC. So 5 years down the line, okay, if you rewatch that movie, who am I? Okay, don't you wonder like what will happen if I had chosen path A? How will we know what would have happened if you chose path A? We don't think that much, sir. We just took UPSC. No. So is there a way to find out like what would have happened if we chose path A? Peers, you can look at your peers, but maybe you might have outperformed them or you may have underperformed them, but there is no exact way of knowing what would have happened if I chose path A rather than path B, right? So all decisions are supposed to be taken with some amount of data in the mind. So that is empirical approach towards decision making, right? The most important skill in the life is decision making, but we actually are never taught how to take decisions. Yes or no? So that is one way of modeling or making data. Why this is very important? This kind of approach is very important. Why this rationality is important? Because in economics we learn that wants are unlimited, means are limited. Yes or no? Means are always limited, wants are unlimited. Yes or no? So for a policymaker, decision making is the most crucial weapon he has, and he has to take decisions based on empirical data. He has to always take decisions on empirical basis. So that's where this entire article or this year's Nobel Prize in economics comes into the picture. For example, they have done something on minimum wage. So what is minimum wage? It's a floor rate. Floor rate. So normally we don't increase the floor rate in the country. Why? The basic assumption is it will increase unemployment or it might increase unorganized labor. Okay, or it might increase inflation. These are all theories. Okay, if I do this, then probably see what is minimum wage. For example, if you want to work in McDonald's, if you want to work in Domino's, okay, per hour you are supposed to pay 380 rupees. That is minimum wage. So if 380 rupees is paid, if somebody is working for 3 hours in Domino's, he's making 1000 rupees per night. For that franchise in that particular area to work, it has to spend 10,000 rupees only on wages per day, right? So he might reduce the cost. He might hire only one person. He should be the delivery boy, who should be the cleaning the plates. He should be doing everything. So still the Domino's will run, right? But I'm hiring less people. So that is the assumption. But in reality, is it true? It may or may not be. So that is where this things comes into the picture. Now there is other thing, that is medical science. Medical science, we have random control trials. Placebo effect, you know, right? Two groups of people will be identified. They will be given vaccination. The other group will be given a placebo. So how are they performing? So I will control their diet. I will control their activities. I will say you should not do this, you should not do that. So in a controlled trial, I will tell everything and I expect a particular amount of results. So I can manipulate the ecosystem. But for a policy maker, as a IAS officer, you cannot control the environment, right? You cannot tell people, I will give you certain amount of money for, let's say, women benefit. Your husband should not drink it for alcohol. I cannot stop that. So such natural setting where things are beyond my control, is the best place to do empirical data for a policymaker. That is the major breakthrough that these people have achieved. Natural experiment. That means the setting is such that I don't know why they are doing what they are doing. I'm not pushing them to get a particular outcome. Andhra Pradesh recently have banned alcohol. Okay. Andhra Pradesh recently have banned alcohol sales through private players. Only government will sell the alcohol. Okay. That's a natural experiment. So people who were in Andhra Pradesh before that policy change and after the policy change are a particular set for sampling. And who created that sampling? Not through some design. It happened automatically. That is the natural setting. Clear? So this is one of the economic Nobel laureate's achievement, that he created this natural experiment setting. And the second part is they can use this data sample to identify and create a causality. That means it's a connection between these two things. For example, higher you study, more your incomes. Higher your studies, more your incomes. So sir, it looks like, common sense. Is it true? If I do PhD, probably I will earn more. So what is so special about this trial? If you are in a school, you will earn less. If you go to engineering college or engineering, PhD, specialization, the higher your specialization, more your chance of getting high salary. So still, what is so special about these people's achievement? So how on which aspect? What is causality here?
So it may or may not be true.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is not necessary that a PhD scholar will be earning more than an engineering graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are not so many, because there are so many factors playing on.
Hmm.
So it is that is the USP of this study, that they are counting number of factors.
See, for example, if you do PhD, let's say Umang is doing PhD, you are also doing PhD. Do you guarantee me that your income will be this?
No.
So we are creating a natural experiment, and we are saying, we are creating without any random experiment. We are saying if everybody does PhD, everybody should get minimum amount of salary. If that was the case, everybody should be running behind PhDs. Wherever income is, people will put extra efforts, right? But that causal relationship is not evident. But there is a proof that higher your education. See, two things. If you study more, your income. It does not guarantee everybody the same success. That base point is my empirical data. Okay, I will nudge you to study more. For example, they have taken this study. Let's say everybody who graduated in 2014 in USA. In 2014, everybody graduated. Will they make more money? I mean, after graduation, they're supposed to make money. So people who are born, let's say before May, and people who are born after May, people are making more money. Before May, people are not making money. Why is it so? Because the academic cycle ends in May. Okay, so those who are born before May, they are not completing the studies. If they are dropping out, they are not getting higher incomes, higher salaries. Those who are born after May, they have higher chances of completing the cycle, right? And they are getting more incomes. So through empirical data within natural settings, they are clearly providing the causal relationship. The causality means the causal relationship that if you do this, your chances are definitely high. Okay, and it's proven. In minimum wages, the opposite is true. In minimum wage, we assumed the same common sensical thing. If wages increase, employment will decrease, but that is not the case. In a negative example or in a positive example, they have a clear-cut empirical data in a natural setting, not in a controlled environment. So it's up to you to identify 10,000 other data sets. For example, in India, you don't need a birth certificate if you are born before 2003. 2003 only. 2004, I think. So that is a data set. So how does that change the policy maker? What is the importance of birth certificate? Yesterday also Prime Minister mentioned that birth certificate should be linked to citizenship. We are trying to digitize that. So there are three different classes of groups. Those who never had birth certificates before 2003. After 2004 to 2021, that's a different data set, paper based. After 2021 to let's say 2040. So how can I use this data? Probably to establish that less and less citizenship issues. Yes or no? That is a natural setting. So before 2003, there is a citizenship issue. Why? Just because you are born in India does not guarantee you Indian citizenship. We don't follow that sui generis, right? We don't follow the blood. Sui sanguine, I think. Blood based. That means if you are born in American soil, you are an American citizen. Okay, in India we don't follow that. So by having these kind of data sets, we can probably prove in the future that empirical data, we will have less number of issues. Okay. Now you understand basic clinic trials, right? Clinic trials, random trials, and casualty approach. So there are basically, remember, yes, I can control the expectations. Sometimes I have a prefixed answer. I want to get this particular answer out of this data set. I can manipulate the ecosystem to get my favorable results. Whereas for a policy maker, not everything is favorable. An IAS officer cannot control the environment, right? So the best setting for him is natural experiment. If you can find out the patterns within the natural stream, then you can make better policies. Clear? Any confusions? Okay. Right, Narayan? Any questions? Oh. Again, see, unless and until we take a probably local example on how these people's experiment is adopted by some local administrator in India, we might find it little bit confusing. But once we find similar cases, we can expand on the same. Okay. Right. Next. In today and yesterday's newspaper, there was term parole and furlough. So why are they important? What should we learn? It came in the recent judicial custody, that question. So yesterday there was a judgment by Justice Chandrachud. He gave some clarifications on the same. So we'll discuss the issues basically, and we will also discuss the prison rights. Now, what is the major difference? Anybody have an idea? Sorry,
sir. Furlough is a matter of right. Parole is something out of something based on emergency.
What is bail?
Bail is also a matter of right, sir. But
see, have polity classes done, right?
Yeah. Only till fundamental,
fundamental
rights.
Okay. Parliament, governor, president.
No.
Have you read any? Yes. In governance president chapter, there is a concept, right? Remission, pardoning power of the prime minister, president, pardoning power of the governor, capital punishment can also be pardoned. So in that context, you will learn a term called as remission. So first we will understand parole, furlough, and bail and remission simply. So the entire concept of Indian criminal justice system is reformative in nature. The core crux is reformative. So you are punishing someone to reform them. So if somebody has done some crime, okay, he's sent to jail. Why from here to here? He's no longer fit to be in the society. He's no longer having the right to stay in the society. Go to jail, reform yourself, and come back. That's point number one. Right. Next. So what about bail? Bail is before you have been convicted. Let's say a criminal proceeding is happening against you. A case is pending. In such cases, you can get the bail. So till you are proved guilty, you have the right to roam in the society. Yes. So that is bail. Bail is pre acquisition or punishment.
Pre-conviction.
Pre-conviction, right? So parole and furlough are after the conviction. Parole is not so famous in India, but in USA it's a very famous concept. I mean, it's a very regular concept. Somebody is in the jail in extraordinary circumstances. For example, his father is ill or mother is ill or some condition is there. In such conditions, with the terms and conditions, again, already there should be some existing conditions. In with the terms and conditions, he can be released. That means he should go to the police station and sign daily or meet with the police officers regularly. So such terms and conditions can be set. Whereas furlough is to break the monotonousness of the punishment. For example, if somebody is having a jail sentence of 6 years, break, that is known as furlough. Whereas remission is reduction of punishment. If the judge said you are supposed to be in the jail for 6 years, after 4.5 years, government can remit you. Governor or president can remit you. That means your sentence has been reduced. So that is a major difference between parole, furlough, bail, and remission. Clear? So this can be a prelims question. What is the most important thing? It's not a right. It's not an absolute legal right. So that was the clarification yesterday. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud has given. Okay, he will be the next Chief Justice of India. So pay an attention on whatever he is doing. Okay, right? He will set the tone of the judiciary for next 2 years. Okay, between Ramana, Lalit, and Chandrachud till 2024, judiciary is covered.
Sir, recently Justice Ramana has promoted a lady.
After 15 years, I guess. There is a huge amount of time there.
So next Chandrachud is fixed.
Fixed. Lalit. After Ramana, Lalit, Lalit. After Lalit, Chandrachud.
You Lalit is there now.
1 month only.
Month?
Lalit is for 1. Oh, just a second. Okay. Now coming back, so the major yesterday's major clarification is this one. They do not have an absolute right to claim furlough. Okay, so prelims questions can be like this. Statement A, furlough and parole are a short-term temporary release from custody. Okay, furlough is an absolute right of the prisoner. Which one is true? 1 only, 2 only, 1 and 2? D, neither. A is correct, right? B is wrong, only 1. Okay. So just before prelims, if you mug up all this data, it will be very difficult. So it's easy way to remember from day 1. Parole is conditional bail. Both are short term, both are not long term. Yes. Any famous cases? No? Any famous case you can think of, either parole or furlough? Not Salman Khan. So there was a recent controversy, right? Byju's have to continue with the same. Do you think it's morally correct to punish the parents for the mistakes of the children?
No. Sir, in this case, then you.
In this case only.
In this case, I don't think so.
Which one? It's not morally correct.
No, sir, it's not morally correct.
It's not morally correct.
Yes.
Okay.
At least
if the same question is asked to you in the interview, like upbringing of the children is the parents' fault. If you are good, it's your parents' credit. If you are bad, it's your parents' mistake. No?
But
society also plays an important role. So syllabus copy, page number 1, GS paper 4. What does it say? Role of education, society, and family in upbringing you. So who failed? Society failed.
Sir, at least he is in, his son is not convicted. Right?
Let's assume so. I mean, let's assume he's guilty. Hypothetically. Everybody deserves a second chance. Reformative justice system, right? Just now we were discussing it's a reformative justice system, not retributive justice system. If he has really done something illegal, there is no need to not punish him. We should punish him. At the same time, is it morally correct to hold the parents responsible for all the mistakes of the children?
Not really, sir.
No, sure.
Sure.
So if you become IAS tomorrow, your parents don't have any credit. Sorry,
Sir, that's
that's
it's
different.
Very binary approach.
Very binary approach. Okay. Sorry, friends. Friends are the reason. Movies. Friends and movies are the reason. Maruti, you think so? No. It's failure at so many levels. Even parents will have some kind of responsibility, right? We cannot blame them. Maybe they have at least 1 to 2% of responsibility. So everybody collectively failed that youth rather than anything else. Okay, this is only known case. We don't know how many unknown cases are there. The entire Punjab fell for this same trap, right? Drugs. Northeast is also having a lot of drug issues. I think now the coastal states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala are also having a drug problem. Yes, proud Kerala movement.
Hyderabad has it.
Hyderabad, no,
Yes.
no. Hyderabad is a clean city. We don't have drugs.
As local.
Denial is best. We don't have drugs. Do you believe Hyderabad can sell drugs? Any youth from Hyderabad will consume drugs? No.
I know my friends.
Okay.
More than everything, I find it as his individual decision. He is an adult to take his to know his good or bad.
Definitely,
So,
I'm
we
no,
cannot blame parents for that.
Yeah, it's
responsibility. I said
collective
responsibility.
failure. That's what.
1 or 2%.
Basically, the minister was held responsible for, and they were asking upon model grounds, so we have to decide. So then again, it would not be applicable. He will have only 1 or 2%.
But you are definitely a very valid point. But you are a public representative. Shah Rukh Khan is not a public representative. See, ASI, let's say inspector is there. After office hours, let's say 6 p.m., he's going with the family, right? He's a civilian then. After duty, if a police officer breaks the signal after 6 p.m., they will not blame his individual decision making. He will blame him as a police officer. So ministers, MLAs, MPs, any government public servant, any public servant at any level, 24/7, he's under scrutiny. That is the problem with public service. You gain a lot, you lose a lot, right? So that's one way to look at it. So being a celebrity, you are morally responsible, right? If my son does drugs, okay, nobody will know. But if a celebrity son, if he smokes, for example, Sachin Tendulkar was offered this McDowell's brandy or something. He said no. Okay, then our Turbinator accepted it. Yeah. So everybody has their own moral standards. So I'm not blaming them. See, everybody, if you promote smoking, if you promote gutka, pan masala, okay, so you should not be surprised. Let's say youth is going towards drugs. Any high is a high, right? It starts with the cigarette, it ends somewhere else, right? So that's one more way to look at the entire scenario, right? Again, there is a Telugu movie called as yes or no, which is I think Trivikram Srinivas.
Yes.
In the climax, there is a beautiful In the movie, there is a line in the climax. The line goes something like this. How will you understand the problems of rich people? Right? So it's these are all problems of rich people, right? People are fighting for survival. I have so much amount of money that in luxury I'm using drugs. That's a whole different level of discussion, which does not apply to 99.5% of Indian population. I don't have such kind of money in our time. Yes or no? We have Lakshmikant to read. Yes. Clear. Supreme Court says farmers have right to protest, but cannot block roads. Who will tell Supreme Court that you already have the report? Why not publish it? That's the problem. Yes or no? Who guards the guardians? Supreme Court is sitting on the farmer report. If Supreme Court says yes or no something, then we will know whether to support the farmers agitation or not to support the farmers agitation. It's the Supreme Court who is acting as a villain in this entire drama, in my personal opinion. It has passed the farmers bill, so at least government could not push. Why? If let's say government is pushing with the farmers bill, what will happen? Maharashtra farmer or Telangana farmer might show the Punjab farmers that it is working in favor of farmers. Then the dilution, Supreme Court has passed it. What is passed? There is no such thing as pass in the entire constitution. Second point, you have appointed a committee. You did not give a deadline to the committee. Chalo, the committee submitted a report. You should at least announce what the report is saying, either in favor or against the government. Either way, you have to let the public know. By keeping all these things in the dark, okay, you are actually accelerating. Then you come and tell, you should not protest in the middle of the road. Okay, there used to be a Dharna Chowk. Do you know in Hyderabad there used to be a Dharna Chowk, I think near this Ashok Nagar area. Okay, then KCR very smartly moved it to outside the city. Okay, so if you want to do Dharna, you are a citizen of India, you have the fundamental right to do Dharna. Go over there. The Chowk's name is, the area's name is Dharna Chowk. Dharna, you have to protest, go there and protest. Okay, people are not affected. So why do I do Dharna? If I block the main road, people will come to know, then the government will respond. If I block the road outside the city, who will be bothered? You're killing two birds with one stone. So somebody should tell all these tricks to Delhi. Yes or no? But
If judiciary doesn't have the power to stop the law, then why did the executive even pause the
because Supreme Court said so. See, it's a judicial innovation. It's a judicial. Stop the bill. Stop the act, actually, not even the bill. Right? I cannot implement it because it does not have a blessings of the Supreme Court. It's more like a contempt of court if I go ahead with the implementation. It's a direct, it's a judgment, right? Supreme Court in the bench, Supreme Court constitutional bench said the farmers' bills will be passed. I don't know whether it will be implemented in the future or it's ultra virus. See, Constitution says something is good, something is bad. Only two things. Constitution is purely binary, right? This is good, this is bad. This is good, but within this there are two provisions which are bad. So Constitution will always act like this. If you remember the 97th Constitutional Amendment judgment, it said the 97th Constitutional Amendment is valid. Okay, only the provision of multi-state cooperatives or multi-cooperatives is invalid. That means an entire act can be valid, points within the act can be invalid, or the entire act is invalid, like the NJAC bill. Okay, only two things. Now we have introduced a new category known as pause. Yes or no? So probably the judges were watching a lot of Netflix, right? So they created something new, and that led to a lot of drama. So we don't need all these things in Constitution. Then immediately the Parliament will go to the drawing board, start new act, and pass it in a rapid speed. But you are stalling the entire democratic process. Okay, clear? Yes. So I blame Supreme Court fair and square. 100 crores COVID vaccine, proud moment. Prime Minister Modi himself wrote 2 articles, one in Indian Express, one in Hindu. I think
Both
same
are same,
article, more or less. Same. The Xerox also.
Xerox.
Okay. So, including spelling mistakes, comma, everything.
In Hindustan Times also it has.
In this, all major newspapers we can say. Okay. Now it's a proud achievement, no doubt about it. Who are the real heroes?
Frontline workers.
The frontline workers, bureaucrats. The unsung heroes of the nation are doctors, nurses, frontline workers, ASHA workers, Anganwadi, and people who have traveled the rest of sarpanches, yes, religious leaders. He did praise them because they reduced the vaccine hesitancy. And Hindu being Hindu criticized it by saying we have not sent vaccines to least developing countries. Vaccine Maitri did not occur. That is why we were able to go for 100 crores. Still, we vaccine only 30% of the population for both the vaccines. Fully vaccinated is only 30%.
31.
30, 31, 32. Who cares? The thing is, it's a humongous achievement, no doubt. Okay. And thanks to COVID, at least now we understood the value of cold supply chains. Yes, and the logistics. The lessons we are learning in COVID can be replicated in TB and all other diseases. So Mission Indradhanush will be super duper success from now onwards because people understood the power of vaccines. So next time if there is some vaccine virus in India or something, people will be more aware to get the vaccination at the earlier phases. Not only that, states also have understood that companies need support. See, it was not by design, right? It was a lucky accident. Yes or no? Serum Institute of India and all these institutes were in India were not a design. They happened privately, and luckily government took the opportunity, right? 2 + 2 worked out for the government. So now next time if there is a pandemic, we will include more into the design R&D, and more pharmacy companies will be invested in developing the vaccines from now onwards. Okay, so all these are fantastic points. Personally, I believe the antibodies count should also be an issue. I don't want to create a panic in the masses, but generally think about it. People who took vaccine in April, if I do the antibodies test to them today, September, 6 months down the line, I think antibodies has come down very heavily. So while we are vaccinating the new population, the old are running out of antibodies. So booster dose or second dose or something else should also be, right? Because people are innocent, laymen. They think they are vaccinated, right? They are double vaccinated or single vaccinated, but they are happily roaming on the streets without masks also. But somebody should tell them that there is a concept called as antibodies. Unlike polio, it's not a one-time thing, right? With COVID. So that should also be in the discussion. I'm sure Hindu will bring some expert to discuss this particular topic. Yeah. Yes. Chandrachud is in flow. Do you want to revisit 8 lakh slab for EWS? For the first time in India, economic weaker section was a criteria which crosses the 50% reservation, which was set in Indra Swane judgment. Now, how did we arrive at the 8 lakhs? What is the problem? Why did not government cross 8 lakhs or come below 8 lakhs? It will affect the OBCs. Creamy layer, right? More or less 8 lakhs is a creamy layer for OBC. For general category also creamy layer is 8 lakhs. If I reduce it to 6 lakhs, then OBC will also say reduce it to 6 lakhs. If I increase it to 10 lakhs, why not increase there also? So that is the logic. All of us know that. But government will never officially say how and why they have picked up that. Yes. If a family is making 8 lakh rupees per annum, they are poor. Less than 8 lakhs.
Depends on where they are living.
But unfortunately, it doesn't matter, right? In India,
That is what rural-urban divide is not.
yes.
That was not taken into.
Have you
account.
seen the last year EWS cutoff for UPSC?
Yes, sir.
What was the
77.
cutoff?
77.
Cutoff is 77. You know, right. 77. General cutoff was 92. Same people. Like same set of people. 8 lakhs plus, 8 lakhs minus. Okay, if you are on this side, you only have to score 77. If you are 8 lakhs plus, you have to score 92 plus. Just understand the discrepancy, right? So we'll see what government will respond. Yes, by the way, anyone having EWS, yes, do avail without hesitation. Classes are one thing, real life is one thing. Okay. Okay. After he comes back, we will discuss it. So when you read society paper 1, we have a term called as vulnerable sections. One of the most important grouping is old age people. So the problem is crimes are increasing against
Old age people.
senior citizens. Okay. So what is the economy created for senior citizens?
Pension.
What is see, there is a care economy. All of you know care economy, right? No? Economy class is done. Economy class is done. Right, Ramesh Singh? Yes. Uma? No? We haven't read economy, NCRT, Ramesh Singh, first few papers. NCRT also.
CIT, 11th class.
There is an economy called as care economy, right? Care economy is the unpaid economy. For example, your grandfather, grandmother, mother, whatever they are doing for your family is a huge amount of time, right? But they are not getting any compensation. Whatever your mom does for you is a care economy. So care economy is not calculated in the GDP. Care economy is not calculated in the GDP. For example, if your family stays away from your grandparents, what will happen? You have to hire a maid, or you have to send them to some schools, play school or something. That is 30,000, 40,000 rupees per month. So if you have grandparents, they will take care of you. So your family is saving 40,000 rupees per month. That is care economy. So all such economy is one thing. That is for typical thing. In the same way, an economy is created only for senior citizens. That is known as silver economy. That is known as silver economy. The geriatric care, the old people care, everything related to old age homes, medicines, taking care. It's a huge market, right? If you see real estate ads in Telugu states right now, they have this new model. Away from the cities, in the rural background, we have old age homes. Start buying apartments so that when you retire, your children will voluntarily send you to old age homes. Yes or no? Or else they will go and settle in. You know the rest of that, right? So silver economy is a booming economy. Within the Indian economy, silver economy has a huge potential. Yes. So two things will never run out in India. One is ashrams. Yes or no? Every generation has their own Baba. Yes. Think about it. Osho, Puttaparthi, right? And then present things, software people love one particular guy, very famous. I don't know, right? So only software people have very huge amount of craze, right? So every generation has its own economy.
Please confirm.
Yes. Even more. Okay. So in the same way, silver economy. That means it will be a huge. The problem is crimes are also increasing because of their fragile nature. So what can be done? For example, in Delhi, the police constables will come as a beat. Every day they will come and talk to the senior citizens. They will make friendship with the particular old people. So if there is any change in their attitude, or if they are under pressure, the society can take care of themselves. All this is proactive policing, friendly policing. Yes. Hindu got no chill, right? They could have picked a better photo. No? Okay. Yes. This is photo from that Himachal Pradesh. That is the first village in the country which got 100% vaccination. Old Hindu photo. What is the summary? The summary is, sorry. The summary is democracy can deliver. So now bhagidari that will actually work. Without the support of the people, democracy cannot work. If people support, democracy can achieve miracles. So democracy is 10 times much better than any kind of other forms of government. If people also participate in democracy, miracles can be achieved. The best example is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and COVID vaccinations, right? And I think divine help came in the form of second wave. Yes or no? After first wave, very few people got vaccinated. After second wave, people went and start getting vaccination. So that's also one strong nudge. Yes, death is a very good teacher, right? Yeah. So after that, all the 700 plus collectors in the country, thousands of volunteers, everybody has done their work fantastically, and all the caller tunes also. Every time you call someone, yes, they will remind you that you have to get vaccination. So one achievement we cannot take away from Indian democracy is overcoming the vaccine hesitancy, right? 100 crore is not a joke. So vaccine hesitancy has been more or less achieved, right? According to World Health Organization, it is one of the top 10 threats to global health, vaccine hesitancy, and India was able to overcome that. He praises in this particular paragraph health. All the followers of the respective Babas will also getting vaccination. If I talk to the Babas, lower cadres will get vaccination, and their family members will also get vaccination. So India is unique. You have to take 10,000 new approaches to get the things done. So that's what he is talking about. Clear? Yes. Whatever get me is 4.5 marks out of 10. Right? I will write that. Yeah. Squaring off against the Himalayan heights. Okay. What is the takeaway from this particular article? Takeaway.
Talking about border infrastructure management. Poor border infrastructure management.
Poor border infrastructure management.
Representatives that we are mentioned. Prominence of China.
So we can reduce this article into simple terms. First thing is People Liberation Army of China, PLA of China, right? PLA has its own crisis. The army, the PLA, the army wing of PLA, right? It doesn't have any issues with the air or water, which is in South China Sea. When it comes to land, it does not have any opportunity to prove its relevance, right? So it needs its own issue to wish to be in the relevancy, just like the Pakistan's army. Pakistan army exists only because of India, right? We are here to protect you. In the same way, PLA army wing is trying to project itself as the savior of the Chinese, and it is trying to create its own relevance. Point number one. So it is not totally India's fault that China came into the Galwan area. China has its own vested interests, and continuous support on infrastructure development of the PLA army in the Ladakh area shows that China has a vested interest in that particular area. Rather than settling the border issue, it wants to keep the topic burning. Point number two, India needs more money. Subramanya Swamy yesterday article, we can cut the last paragraph and add it here. Okay, we need more money. Why we need more money? For aircrafts, for fighter
Nuclear
flights,
submarine.
anything, for whatever we discuss, we need more and more money. More money we have, the more deterrence we can have against China. So instead of dragging our feet, we should work on the domestic issues so that will recover. When the economy recovers, markets will recover, India will recover, we will become a $5 trillion economy. We can buy more deterrence in any of the form. So as long as we don't grow as an economy, we will always have problems. So he blames the demonetization for slowing down India's growth, right? And the entire batch has declined that, you know, China has come into India. All these things only helped China rather than India. So we should put India first, and we should work towards making the India defense self-reliant. Okay, so that's the major takeaway. Half part is to say that it's purely China's vested interest not to settle the boundary. Okay, the other half is we have to grow so that we can pressurize China into making the border settlement. Both are equally valid. Apart from the Modi bashing, we can take the logical points. All the valid points are there. Yes. So see, again, I told you multiple times, if China wants to bring India to discussion table, what other alternatives does China have? China. See, if I say Taiwan, next day somebody will be in Jammu and Kashmir. Climate issue, that is common negotiation point. You see, you can request me to reduce, increase my INDCs or something, but you cannot bring me to a discussion table, right? Trade blocking. It's not a military blocking, right? What is a trade blocking?
Yesterday we discussed.
But okay, China can cripple my economy and then call me to a discussion table. It's like shooting itself in the foot, right? That means China is officially saying, I have hacked you. Okay, then please come to discussion in front of the world.
Can hack you.
So I can hack you. So you are threatening me as a nation, right? So there's no point for me to come to a negotiation table, right? Pakistan, how? Then I will discuss with Pakistan. See, all these are subvert activities, right? In nowhere, see, in cyber attacks or in Pakistan or in Quad, China won't officially say this is my problem. Yes or no? It will indirectly say something like, you know, okay, so trade can become some logical extension. After settling the border issue, it's very hard for China to find a leverage point to discuss with India, right? And the disadvantage of trade is if I keep tinkering with the trade, that means if I stop trading with you more and more, you will realize that I no longer, I should not depend on China too much. That is exactly what happened in COVID, right? So just with hint, we already started Atmanirbhar Bharat. If tomorrow you are actually weaponizing the trade with India, I will definitely push towards more import substitution. So that is a more loss to China than gain. So land boundary is the only place where China can literally bring India to the negotiation table. Everywhere else we have friends. Quad we need not fight alone. We have US and others. Trade we need not fight alone. I can take to WTO, right? Or I can have free trade agreements, right? Cyber, I can take the help of Romania, Somalia, Sudan, and USA. Right? Only in land boundary I am alone. In every other scenario you have mentioned, I have friends, right? And I cannot involve any third party in the land boundary issue between India and China. The same applies to Jammu and Kashmir. So I cannot do anything that, and it has to be settled. Clear? Let's see how things go. Scripting history we have discussed. Engaging with Taliban. So the only thing that Hindu editorial is suggesting is regional diplomacy rather than bilateral diplomacy. So how will it help India? Security is a major implication or outcome of the Afghanistan issue. So by bringing in all the regional players, just like putting the Pakistan under FATF list, okay, we can also break the Taliban's capacity by collective strength. Yes or no? See, Taliban needs money. If we don't start negotiating in the regional diplomacy way, what will happen? Pakistan might support Taliban, Russia might support Taliban, China might support Taliban for their own vested interests. Right? Everybody is afraid of Taliban because they have their own vested interests. But if we create a collective grouping, at least in front of everybody, you will agree to a particular negotiation. That if Taliban is even showing a hint of 1 to 2% of terrorist activity, I will put Taliban under activities. Like I can push more vaccines, education, or development in Afghanistan. I can even suggest women empowerment or more freedom to women in Taliban. Can I do that individually? No. Pakistan won't even let me talk to the Taliban leaders. So it is combined source of all these people. Then I can leverage. So that's one way to look at the entire issue. Will it work? In theory, it sounds good.
Pakistan and China, I don't think Pakistan will come. Because they have their own.
Pakistan will come. Pakistan wants to showcase to the world that, I am a reformed person. See, even when we say Taliban is having economic crisis, what will Taliban do when they run out of money?
They ask for money, they request.
They start selling drugs. Afghanistan is the world's #1 producer of poppy. America is the world's #1 buyer of poppy. Yes or no? Ganja. So, Taliban will officially start exporting tons and tons of drugs. Okay. So, whenever a terrorist organization needs money, it does not look for legal venues, right? It will always look for illegal venues. Then ISIS will come and say, we will open a branch here. Them. So that is the problem of financial crisis. You should not let them starve. At the same time, you should not feed them till the point they get obese, right? You need to keep them in a tight leash. That can be achieved only with the regional groupings, right? And there should be some sincerity. In the front, China is saying, no, Taliban, don't do that. In the back door, you are giving money. Go and attack India. Okay. Then there is no point, right? Thanks to all the lessons that Pakistan have taught us. Okay, we are very smart now because the same brains will be working there also, right? Whatever tactics have been applied directly by Pakistan will now be applied in Afghanistan. India is also smarter now. It knows how to tackle Taliban, not individually. It's like that, Aavu Puli Katha in childhood. Yes or no? Earlier, India is a lone country which used to shout, Pakistan is a thief, Pakistan is a criminal. Everybody for the first time listened, second time listened, 10th time they got bored. India is always like this only, they will always blame Pakistan. Okay, then we realized, okay, if I alone am shouting, nobody is caring, then I brought Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, all the small countries. When all the small countries also started shouting that Pakistan is a thief, then America and others started noticing. Like this, the same tactic, right? If I shout Taliban are bad, shout Taliban is bad. Simple way to remember. Regional diplomacy versus bilateral diplomacy. Clear? Any questions?
But just now you said in theory this sounds good. But all these people would they
I
come?
need 6 marks. I really work in Afghanistan. No. Do I have any vested interest with Afghanistan? I never crossed the Warangal border. Why will I be worried about Afghanistan? I never put IFS in the first place, right? IFS. See, what I'm trying to tell you is first get into IFS, then we will worry about all those things. So my core criteria is to push you into IFS. Okay. After that, Bhagwan Jane, right? So the thing is, Afghanistan, see, only one diplomat has been killed in Afghanistan. That too, he was from Hyderabad, 2008, right? Unfortunate IFS incident. But after that, more or less, it's peaceful. And we were smart enough to close down the embassy in Afghanistan.
You indirectly warning him, sir.
No, I know.
He's also from Hyderabad.
I'm saying. So that is What I'm trying to tell him is get 6 marks. Don't worry about Afghanistan. You will be in IFS. Yes, if you are good in management, probably will use some kind of influence so that you won't get Afghanistan posting. Right? There are better places: Rome, Italy, France, Latin American countries. There is a huge world out there apart from Afghanistan. But getting into IFS is the top priority. There are more chances of clearing this exam if your optional is IFS first. First preference is IFS. If they see that body language in you, they will reward you good scores. Right. Yes. Okay, we'll continue the discussion tomorrow. Yes. Plan for IFS. It's a good post. See, any way you can serve the country, still serving the country, right? Yes. It's better than buying Netflix.